If you're interested in learning how I launched Zim Excellence, then you're in luck. Sign up for my podcast workshop and learn how it's easier and more affordable than ever to start a podcast. Also, grab yourself a copy of my podcast resource guide, which covers industry terminology, suggested tech setup, in addition to countless free online resources to support your podcast journey. Just head to wongai.com/podcast creation. That's wongai.com/podcast creation. The link will also be down in the show notes. Now, let's start the show. Welcome back. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for part 2.
But anyway, it's a sad story, and I mean...
This used to happen to Motown artists a lot. Like, this happened a lot in the 60s and to a lot of black acts, because people couldn't read, or they were promised certain things, but the things that they were promised wasn't in writing. It was, I forget, maybe it was the Ronettes. I was watching This Is Pop on Netflix, and it was talking about the Brill Building, and one of the acts, they were promised, I'm putting aside money for your trust fund for 21. And this girl group couldn't wait until they turned 21. And then when they all turned 21, they're asking about the money, and they're like, people talking to them as if they're crazy. Like, what do you mean? We never said anything about money. And so they had to then break away from the contract because they were making pennies. It's absolutely awful.
It's heartbreaking. And I mean, these are creatives. These are the lifeblood of the whole industry. But we are not enabling them to be able to create more, to be able to invest in their craft and create more for them. Because, I mean, it's hard to create when you're worrying about what your family's going to be eating tonight. You know what I mean? And that's why we need to get to a point where let the creators, do what they need to do, which is create. Let them do it and let them have enough money so they can reinvest into their craft. Let it happen. So, and it's for the betterment of the industry as a whole. Let's just get things in order. Oh, yeah, it's heartbreaking, yo. But, so then with Mbube. Eventually, I think at the end of it, they only said that, I think the family ended up only getting an amount of $250,000. That's what and I think that's what even is shared at the end of the movie, of the documentary, sorry. It's the same thing. And I think, the song has gone on to make over $60 million and climbing. So, when I heard that story, so I was fortunate to attend the school called the Academy of Sound Engineering in Johannesburg. I did a course which was called Masterclass in Music Business. And that's where I also that's where I even learned about copyright, and I realized I only knew about one half of the whole industry, and I don't even know about copyright. And this was the biggest case study, and this was a global thing. And in my head, I remember just thinking, how come nothing seems to be happening about this? In my head, I was imagining if this was an industry, we should be in arms about this still, as in this is terrible what went down. We should be trying to figure out how to help the family. And that's where I was like, so what I ended up doing, and I think I got even more fired up after I watched the documentary, because I was like, this is ridiculous. I said, nah, I can't allow this. Let me just do my part. And what I ended up doing is, the idea as a whole was that I wanted to, I approached the family trust. Fortunately, I knew the family lawyer, and I engaged with them, and their plan was, I was like, what I want to do is I want to create a new version of Mbube, because what I'd also found out was that it was out of copyright. So that means that, it had reached its copyright term. So with music is that when it goes like that, it goes into public domain, and then technically you're able to create a new copyright using that, and you don't have to seek permission, or you don't really need to compensate. It's out of copyright. So I realized it was out of copyright. Then I was like, let's try and do a new version of it. So I remember I linked up with some gents, this two gents, Boki Alt, who's this really dope. He's a very motivated young DJ doing his thing. And and the funny thing is, when I started thinking about this project, I remember I would mention it to a lot of guys. And at the end of the day, everyone thought it was cool, but Boki Alt was the only person who, after I told him, And I remember not even really thinking much about it because, as I said, I'd mentioned this to a lot of people. He was the only one who came back with something. He was like, yo, Munya, I've done this beat for that thing you spoke about. Let's see. And I mean, I listened to it and I really liked it. I genuinely liked it. And that's when he also brought on one of his boys, who's also someone I've known for some time, Cuba, who's also a DJ, producer, record label owner. I think he self-publishes for himself. And I mean, he brought on Cuba, and together they really put this beat together. And I remember thinking, like, I want this to be something which South Africa can be proud of, and slash Africa. You know, it's a South African story. And I remember thinking, you know, if we address something like this, my plan was like to do two things. I was like, it'll bring healing to the industry. I feel if we can address this in such a way that, because I think a lot of healing is needed. And then I was like, but also we can educate people. So what I started doing was, we started documenting just the processes of things that we were doing. And we've documented quite a bit already, but there's still the end, which we haven't done the end of it yet. But what we did manage to do was, so yeah, as I was saying, I wanted it to be grand. So I started first engaging with the Soweto Gospel Choir. A few of the members were on board, but then, you know, trying to deal with them was quite, well, number one, I found out, that was the time when I found out, I didn't even know they were signed to a record label in Australia. So I was even like, that's insane. Yeah. I was even like, wow, that's interesting. So, and then anyway, because they're hectically busy, and I mean, shout out to them, but they're so busy that at some point I was like, yo, I'm going to have to make another call and try to figure out who else I can get to perform this. My old place of employment, which was called Content Connect Africa, we used to manage, the M.O.T.I Queens, and they still do manage the M.O.T.I Queens. And if you know the M.O.T.I Queens, they are legendary in the sense, I mean, they've been in the industry. I think this year we celebrated, it was like 50, I think it's like 57 years in the industry type vibe. Wow. It's like they've just been, and I mean, they've had hits. They were performing with a gentleman, Matlatini. They had hits like Kazette. Yeah, Kazette I think that's one of their biggest songs. And I mean, I was able, so actually even two of them are they've aged between 73 and 78 years old, these ladies. And I mean, I've known them for years, and I mean, I really do look at them as mothers. And eventually I reached out to Anto Stella, who was my old boss, but yeah, I reached out to her, and yeah, she loved the idea because she still manages the M.O.T.I Queens, and we managed to get the M.O.T.I Queens on the song, which was like, for me, it was beautiful. And I mean, I even had to, and you know, when putting this together, the funny thing is I had to actually even jump into the booth to help with the bass in that song, because I forgot that as much as it is a cappella, but the Queens they needed the bass guys, and I forgot about that. So we had to lend me, Cuba, and the M.O.T.I Queens manager, Veli Shabangu, who actually used to be the percussionist for Lucky Dube. The three of us had to do the bass for the song. But I mean, it was a great day. It was great. It was really fun, and we were recording it, and I mean, ideally then, I mean, I shared it with the family lawyer. They liked the track. And the idea then from there was to do a music video, because I just wanted something but I only managed to do a lyric video, which is available on some YouTube right now with the M.O.T.I Queens. And what I was saying is that two of them actually came out of retirement. The two who were in retirement came out and just did this project with me, you know, because Mom Hilda, who is the eldest of the Queens, but she's still going with you guys. She's the one she's still performing, and she's been grooming some new queens, some younger ladies, but she's the only one. But the originals came out for this, so it made it really special, this project for me. And I was just like, you know, outside of this project, I really want to do right by the M.O.T.I Queens as well, because they've done a lot. And it's always sad that, and Mom Hilda is very vocal about how a prophet is never honored in their own town. And that's why I think Jesus said that. And so she always feels like, you know, in South Africa, when they're overseas, they're really treated like queens. However, back home in South Africa, they're not. But anyway, that's besides the point. So yeah, so going back to Mbube. So the purpose of Mbube was to, as I said, create healing and education. And I really wanted to honor and really shed light on what happened with Solomon Linda, because I think the mistakes that happened in 1938 are still happening today in 2021. And I mean, that doesn't make sense. And I'm just like, guys, like, we need to figure this out. quicker, sooner than later, so that this stops. We can't keep having this happen, We keep hearing the same stories where, guys just signed. Solomon Linda is not the same, because it's not that he signed, and that's what's questionable. But in this day and age, we do just have artists signing agreements because they just want to work with a major label. They don't even care. They just sign because it says Sony, or sometimes they just coerce, and there's payment and there's money. Sometimes advances paid. And I mean, we need to do better and understand how things work. We need to understand what we're signing. Sometimes things just work organically. So the project only hit up until the lyric video. And what I really wanted to do was to do an actual music video as well. The plan was also to then explore doing remixes with other African artists. And their plan is to also teach people. And the idea is to document all of this, because by doing remixes, the plan is to further extend the copyright and also get more money for the family through copyright. You know what I mean? So do more remixes and explore I wanted to do an event, an actual concert where the family now come as family of honor. And I guess everyone who's partaken, everyone who's done a remix, the Taylor Queens, we have just a performance with everyone, and they do their own songs as well as their version of Mbube. And I remember I went all in with this, and I remember engaging also with in Johannesburg, in Gauteng, there's a place called the Cradle of Humankind. And it's believed that's where the first human bones have been discovered that ever. So they call it the Cradle of Humankind. And I think it's fact. So, within that area, there's a place called the Nairok Sculpture Park, which is this really beautiful sculpture park. And I remember just saying, it'll be dope to explore, in States, they have the Walk of Fame. And, it's great. You go, you honor creatives it's not just creators of the Walk of Fame, is it? I think it's all types of.
Yeah.
Is that,
could be just people in entertainment.
Entertainment as a whole.
Yeah.
So I was like, why don't we start doing something like that? And I was engaging with them and exploring and I was like, let's call it the Pride Walk. And Solomon Linda will be the first one. You come on, you feel it. Feel it in the spirit. So I was like, let's do that. And let's have Solomon Linda be the first one. And let's just start from there. And let's make it a yearly thing where we're honoring creatives, or however often we do it. And we just keep doing it. And so that was the dream for this project. And I called it, it was called Happy Endings, the Mbube story. And because the reason I called it Happy Endings is because if you watch The Lion's Share, there's no happy ending for the family. And I was just like, sometimes people just deserve a happy ending. So that's how I was like, I'll call it Happy Endings and the Mbube story. And we just go like that. And as I said, document it, put it out, and so still a work in progress. It's just a matter of really funding, actually, that I just need to put together.
Investors, if you're listening.
Knock, knock.
We will take your money.
Yes, please, gladly.
Munya, that is so amazing. That's just so heartwarming to hear. And I hope that it's going to inspire more people to take action in their own ways with the resources that they have to find, I guess we'll call it musical social justice for different artists. Yeah, yes. I love that so much. So what keeps you going when times are hard and you feel like giving up? How do you self-care for yourself? How do you practice
That's
self-care?
very interesting. Yeah. And especially, the week we just had in South Africa has been such an intense week. Oh,
yeah. At the time of recording this, there have been protests and riots in South Africa. Looting. And
killing and just, it's been something else. I think mental health is something I've always taken seriously. And I think I was very fortunate to have been introduced to, initially it was what we call conscious counseling for me. And it was provided where I was working at Content Connect Africa, where I think at one point in my life, I guess my morale was low and I just wasn't performing. And that time, my boss then was like, she brought someone in, this wonderfully experienced woman by the name of Yvonne Johnson. And she became a conscious counselor for us in the team. And I remember after engaging with her, I really did see a difference in my life, like on a serious note, just in terms of my mental and how I was thinking and consciously thinking and trying to just like constantly being positive. And I believe but I mean, it's not that she preached these things, but I think for some of the things for me, like from it, I just learned that I believe in the power of positivity and being positive, even through it all, and genuinely always believing that everything happens for my good. Yeah, and just the law of attraction as well. So it's very important to try to stay positive.
Same tribe.
You see, hey, come on.
I cannot wait until we meet in person.
Yeah.
You're my big brother now.
You're in Zim. You said you're in Zim right now, huh?
Yeah, currently, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but pane COVID, so.
Yeah, it's all right. No rush. So I was introduced to that kind of, that phase. And I mean, even outside when it wasn't being offered at work, I still continued. And I mean, it really helped me just get a good grounding with things, And so I've always appreciated it. And I think at some point I stopped. Well, I still always keep in touch with Yvonne Johnson. She's a very dear person to me. But I think, at some point I stopped with the conscience counseling. And it was only until 2020, when COVID stuff started. That's when like things kind of I kind of started slipping, and at the time, I think it must.
I think we all did.
We all did.
And so be gentle with yourself.
And that year started off so weird because I remember even that was the year where in February, earlier that year, a couple of friends of mine, some really close friends, we went to Cape Town for a wedding. And then I remember one evening we went to dinner and then the restaurant got jacked. Like people came in with guns and the restaurant got jacked. So that year was already on a rocky start for me. And, then I think then that happened in February. So we came back and then I think shortly after. So I think I never really, at the time I hadn't really processed it. And I hadn't been able to address this thing, but that affected me. And then COVID hit. And then now and I stay by myself. So now I'm sitting at home alone and the walls are talking to me and I'm just now a bit more paranoid about things. And the funny thing is, it's not the first time this has happened to me, but for some reason this time it really shook me. I think because I really didn't see it coming. And not only that, not that I saw it coming the first time around, but I mean, I just think I was completely blindsided. And also, I think because the way I treat my life and the way I do things, and as I said, I believe now in the power of positivity and the like. And so I was like, so I think I was doubting a lot at the time. And I was like, I was questioning, like, maybe does this power, this law of attraction work then? Because I mean, how did I attract this into my life? And so there was a lot of questioning, and then very fortunate, I've got a very close friend who she's actually mentioned that she's been seeing someone for some time. So I was like, yo, can you please, I'm looking to speak to someone. Can you recommend? And eventually, she shared the details, and then I linked up with Lady Janine. And shout out to Janine because she's really amazing. And I think she doesn't even call herself like a therapist. I think she prefers as a master coach. I think, it was really dope connecting with her because it helped just figure. So, at the end of the day, sometimes you just realize that as people, we're winging it each and every single day as we're doing things. Like, as much as you can plan and strategize and do everything, when you're actually in the moment, in the now, as you're doing certain, you're literally figuring it out as we're getting along. And sometimes I think we, especially for some of us, and I'm someone who I like control as well.
Oh, so I like to, same. Why are we the same person?
I feel we are the same person, actually. Control is a problem.
They really do say like attracts like. Today is a great day to start your own podcast. Whether you have a message you want to share with the world, or you think, ooh, it could be fun to have my own talk show like one guy, getting started is easier than ever. Here at Zim Excellence, we use Buzzsprout, which is hands down the easiest, most affordable, and best way to launch, promote, and track your podcast. Start for free and list your show on directories like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more within minutes. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners, and the team at Buzzsprout is passionate about helping and teaching you to succeed. Just check out their YouTube videos. They are filled with tons of information. So join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. Sign up today using the link in the show notes or go to wongai.com/podcast creation, and you'll get a $20 credit if you sign up for a paid plan. It also helps support the show. So go ahead, sign up for Buzzsprout, and keep me posted on your new podcast. Now back to the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just like, control is the problem. And when you kind of start losing control, it can become problematic. So I started seeing Janine now. And I mean, I've been seeing her, I see her still till today. But I think people are there for a reason. And as I said, we're all trying to figure this out. And I mean, and then something like last week happened where like a war basically felt like it erupted in South Africa. And it's like something, how do we deal with that? And there's certain things that we need to realize that we aren't equipped to deal with certain things because, I mean, we're just human beings. And sometimes we do take a lot on ourselves. We try to figure stuff out on ourselves, but you only know what you know. You know what I mean? And sometimes what you need to also realize is that some of this unlearning that we have to do as well sometimes in life. We need to unlearn a lot of things that even our parents, you need to recognize our parents just did the best that they could. You only know what you know. They did what they thought was the best thing. And maybe there were certain things which you need to now unlearn that weren't correct, that wasn't necessarily correct, you know? So, mental health is very important to me. And that's how I do my best to try to figure it out. I mean, it definitely helps. I don't see Janine as much. And even just to answer, I mean, with regards to the problem that I had, just to give people an answer, what happened was eventually, I mean, the realization that she helped me with was, she was like, Munya, do you realize that you weren't the only person in that room? And that's when I was like, that's very interesting. She was like, how do you take responsibility for everyone's energy in that room? You can't do that. You can only take responsibility for your energy. And the truth of the matter is it could have ended up worse, but look, you're still able to tell the tale. You walked out of it. So that is still a positive. You know what I mean? And I hadn't thought of it like that. Yeah. And I was like, and that was powerful to me. And that helped me get back on the horse. And I was actually like, okay, let's get back to work and do what we need to do again. And so I'm forever grateful for that. So as I said, I only see her now once a month. There was a time when I was seeing her weekly, but now I think I only see her once a month because I've definitely got my stuff together. But yeah, mental health is a real thing. But also with mental, we mustn't forget physical. And I mean, I know now because of COVID, obviously things changed. I definitely wasn't exercising as much. I wasn't eating right either. Like now Uber Eats became my friend, and I was doing a lot of
potato chips. I just like plop myself on my bed. I put on Netflix. I reach for the barbecue potato chips, and I'm just like, and it took me a while to realize, like, I'm doing it without even having the craving or without feeling hungry. And I'm like, it's there. Oh, I'm keeping myself from thinking and processing something. And like, what is that thing? So like, I did a 16-week mindset course at the beginning of this year, and luckily I got in through a diversity scholarship. So I did it for free, which was amazing. And I just so needed it because at the end of 2020, I just felt so broken. And like I get panic attacks and I get very, very anxious. So like I take CBD. CBD changed my life, and I have an anxiety blanket. But like this 16-week mindset course, we dived into the spiritual. So talking about like the universal laws of the universe. We dived into psychology. So just like knowing how things work, like psychologically in the brain and how we process things and childhood wounds and forgiveness work, all of that stuff. And we also worked with like quantum physics. And my teacher, literally, she did the best job with this course. She gave us, we had breathwork classes, and even if people weren't available live, they were recorded. So you'd like do the breathwork classes. You had meditations to go to sleep with, hypnoses, subliminals, workbooks, so that you're answering the questions and doing the work. And just tools like shaking and dancing. And so like I've learned
movement.
that, in moments when I feel myself falling back in the hole, I have a chat with myself and I remind myself, you have the tools. You can pick up the tools now. So like, even if I don't want to, I know like, I don't want to feel the emotion. It's not that the emotion is good or bad. It's just that when you process it, you end up getting more clarity. So I'll make myself get up and like put on a song and dance and scream and shout and do the shaking and all the movement
stomping
and stuff. And then I'll have to pause about like, oh, why am I grabbing for the potato chips? Oh, okay, let me journal about this, or maybe let me go grab an apple instead of the other thing. Yeah. Because I see the difference it has in my energy when I'm like reaching for processed sugar versus reaching for like fruit.
Yeah, it's so important. And that's that's a big one. Health and diet. And last year was bad for me. It really was. And it led to the point now where, anyway, I ended up discovering now my cholesterol was like ridiculous now. That's when I had to actually now and I'm talking like 2-3 months ago actually. So it's like pretty recent. It's like I realized that my cholesterol was really high and I remember just thinking it's because of that kind of stuff where it's diet mainly. And I mean, now I've definitely had to cut down on a lot more. Like only having fish and chicken type thing, trying to eat a lot less red meat, trying to stay away. I would stay away from sugars, exercising a lot more, eating more veggies and fruit rather, like having it ended up being just that full on where you have to do a bit of a lifestyle change, even avoiding certain alcohols, like avoiding mixes, the ones that you mix. Try reach for, if you're going to do a gin and tonic, try get a sugar-free tonic, which tastes horrible. But I mean, but even it has a tone. I never liked these sugar-free things.
I've never liked gin and tonic, but I didn't even know there was even a sugar-free one.
Oh, there's a sugar-free tonic for sure. But I mean, but it's also about moderation. And I mean, I still do, because the truth is I still am going to have a gin and tonic, and it's just about moderation as well and just managing things as well. So discipline and just doing my best every day. Yeah, it's key.
I want to acknowledge that, 2020 almost broke all of us. And, we've lost so many people to this virus and to just so many other awful, horrific acts of violence and things. And so let's acknowledge and give gratitude and pat ourselves on the back for being here, because our bodies are doing the best that we can and we're still breathing. And it is such a pleasure to be having this conversation with you. We made it. Munya, we made it. Whoop, whoop. Because be resilient. Okay, final questions, and then we're doing speed round, okay? So, aside from M.O.T.I, obviously, are there any resources or calls to action, whether they're courses, organization, books, websites, podcasts, that you would recommend to someone in music industry or who also wants to do A&R and do what you're doing? Yeah.
So in terms of podcasts, I mean, the ones, there's 3 that I do listen to quite a bit. So there's the Music Business Podcast. There's one called Trapetable by Dan Runcie, and I'm also subscribed to his newsletter. I think he has some really dope ones. I'm on Patreon as well. On Patreon, I subscribe to Water and Music by a lady called Sherry Hu, H-U. I also subscribe to, on the podcast, I also listen to African Music Law. That's a podcast that's there. And the other one, which I couldn't remember, was Setlist. Setlist is just an international. So, I mean, it's really dope. These are like, I don't care to listen to gossip about industry stuff. And some podcasts are like that. I really do. I prefer the business ones and where you actually can walk away learning something. So those are the ones those are podcasts. In terms of other kind of newsletters I subscribe to, there's also the Music Business Worldwide. I think that's a great platform, which gives you just a great oversight on what's happening in the business side of music and entertainment. Yeah, those are things that I listen to, I'm subscribed to and check out and just stay abreast of what's happening. what would someone have to, I mean, that's why I say, my career path has been such a strange one, because I can't even really say that I've done, like, I've just, I always say, I've always just followed music. Wherever music just takes me, I kind of just follow. And when I'm in that position, I learn as much as I possibly can and then see what I can do from there, So, I mean, it's hard to say exactly, but I mean, I would recommend certain things like, the masterclass in music business was a great course I did at Academy of Sound Engineering. I'll definitely recommend that to anyone. But that's quite advanced. I'm also, well, let me not say it prematurely. But there is also an international music business school that I'm looking at working with, which we're looking at exploring, putting together a course with M.O.T.I. So M.O.T.I and the business school, we're looking at working on something together. So hopefully that will be the answer to help anyone who actually wants to walk away with something that's certified and can be recognized. But yeah, I'd say that's it off the top of my head.
That's awesome. It sounds like, M.O.T.I is the starting point. And once you're fully in those waters, then go check out the podcast. Yeah. And then you just start to layer up and the work is daily, even if it's like 5 minutes a day. Sounds like the work is daily. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Lightning round.
Come on.
You ready?
I'm ready.
You ready? Okay. What is your zodiac sign? I'm a Capricorn.
Aquarius.
Yeah, you're the forward thinker. The way it was explained to me is if this was a U.S. cafeteria and there are all these different cliques, Aquarius is the one at the table that says anyone can sit here.
Like, you're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. You an early bird or a night owl?
Oh, things have changed now. I used to think I used to be like a bit of a night owl, but mostly an early bird. I'd say, I'm more of a night owl now than I am now. I am.
Dope.
Yeah.
Last song you listened to?
Last song would have been Sinner, Adekunle Gold.
There we go.
And we share the same birthday, funny enough. I remember once being fortunate enough to meet him on his birthday in Nigeria, which is also my birthday. He's definitely someone who I've been a fan of his music for a long time, and he's bringing serious heat all of a sudden. So yeah, Sinner was the song I think he dropped last week.
We played the song just before we hit record, and y'all, it was really great. I'm really onto new artists, and so I was like, that's hella dope. I've really been obsessed with that Essence song by Wizkid. Like it shot to like, Hot 200 like that. I was like, I heard amazing. I literally heard 5 seconds of it on someone's Instagram story like a week or two ago. And I was like, yo, this is dope. And I listened to the full thing and I just listened to it every day. And then suddenly it was like, it's everywhere. Okay.
Both fire artists.
Last book you read?
Last book I read is Make Yourself Unforgettable. How to Become the Person Everyone Remembers and No One Can Resist by Dale Carnegie.
Yes, Dale Carnegie. He actually went to my acting school.
Oh, for real?
He did. We're alums.
I didn't know he was an actor.
Yeah.
I didn't know
I
that
know.
he was an
It's
actor
the
as
weirdest thing, but yeah, he went to the Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York. It's amazing. Okay. Favorite movie or album from the past year or this award season?
I think I'm going to go for also. I'll be honest with you, but it's also, I'm being very honest. Adekunle Gold again. I'm just trying to remember what his last album was called, which the last album he dropped was called Afro Pop Volume 1. And so that was a dope album. As a body of work, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I love that Chloe and Halle album, but the album I'm really digging lately is Shunguzo's album. Do you know Shunguzo? She's Zimbabwean. She's amazing. She's based in the US, and she has an album that came out last month called I'm Not a Mother, But I Have Children, and she's hella dope. She's done stuff with Bantu and Rudimental, and she's written for, I think, Lil Mix. Yeah, she's hella dope. She's a mix of like indie, alternative. Yeah, I'm trying to get her on the podcast as well. I connected with her on Instagram. She's like one of my faves.
I'm gonna I see her.
There you go. Shunguzo, I got you another fan.
Hey, shout out. I'm going to check her out immediately.
Dope. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
What superpower would I have? What superpower would I have? And the funniest thing is I was recently talking, someone asked me, if you were an X-Men, Munya, who would you be? And then I said someone, and they were actually like, and I was like, shut up your face. They were like, you look like Beast, though. I think you should be Beast, except you're just not blue. And I was like, I think I'm offended, although I appreciate the intellect, but I'm offended right now. What kind of power would I want? The power.
I just came up with the power in my head this second.
Okay, tell me what it is.
So my power is usually teleportation, but I just realized, when you like all of a sudden you're humming a song that you haven't heard in years, but you can't remember who sang it. I wish my superpower would be like, I hear the 5 seconds, I'm like, it's that. instead of like holding up your phone and being like, Siri, who is this?
Shazam, please.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, I thought of a power that I wouldn't mind having is, imagine, I would love to have the power to create songs, right? Songs that have, so for example, imagine, let's just say Trump and what's the guy in Korea, in North Korea, is Kim
Jong-il. Kim Jong-un. Sorry, Kim Jong-un.
Imagine through the power of music, I'm able to create a song that is so powerful that, and somehow I have a power to know that the kind of music they both love. And then I'm able to create a song that they will both love that ends up joining them together. So imagine having the power where you can just create songs where people who are enemies can't help but become friends now. And this is like, now you have a song that you share. And then you dance and you're happy.
I don't even think that power is like it's manipulative, but not in a deep dark way. I support this.
It could be evil, actually, now that I think about it. But I'll use it for good.
Yeah, it could be used for evil, but we gotta make sure you remain with this. This sounds like a whole movie. We need to sit down and write this, Munya, before someone listens to the podcast and steals this.
Talk to
copyright.
Me.
Yes, we will work together. Oh, dope. Yeah, slight tangent. One of my roommates is a musician, and he'll literally compose things in his dreams and then wake up and be like, what was the song?
That must be amazing, but also, it must be rough those times when you just can't remember.
You wake up and you're like, but what was the tune?
There's a book called Musicology, and I remember when it was talking about certain phenomenons about people who literally just sleep and they wake up and they're able to remember every single note, every single thing about the song. So, and I think there's even cases about people who just don't have, music doesn't switch off. They always hear music all the time. It was a really fascinating book. It was actually a book recommended. I remember once when I was engaging it was Black Coffee who told me about that book.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, it was a book Black Coffee really cool. Told me about. Yeah, and it was insane.
Speaking of musicians, favorite Zimbabwean musician?
I'm enjoying this guy called Brian K right now. He's one of my, I'm enjoying Brian K, but at the same time, because it's just a certain type of music he does. But Pop-Tane, Anita Jackson, those two are also bringing the things in a different vibe. So I know I was meant to just mention one. Sorry.
No worries. Dope. Put them all on. Zim excellence. Favorite Zimbabwean childhood snack?
What was it? There's so many. Okay, let me just try to think of one. Freddo chocolates.
Freddy chocolate?
Freddo.
Yeah. Oh, it was called Freddo. You're right. I think
it was Freddo. Yeah, Freddo or Frodo. One of them. Freddo.
Mazoe orange versus Mazoe green. This is
orange.
The most important question of all.
I'm sorry. I won't even hesitate.
Don't apologize.
In actual fact, the problem for me is the raspberry flavor. Raspberry and peach are the ones that they're the problems for me actually. But cream soda I can sit down.
Okay, the next one is a power statement that you fill out. It starts, I am Zim excellence because blank.
I am Zim excellence because I am worried. I'll just say worried. Worried is a Zim slang word that actually not just me and my guys, but it's something we've been, worried is the opposite of to be worried, which is if you're worried about something, whereas worried with an A is the opposite, which means you don't care and you just do your thing. So I'm going to go with I'm Zoom Excellence because I'm worried.
This is going to be interesting when I make the graphic for this because I'm going to have to put the asterisk and then put the definition. But
just
that's fun. Okay. If you could nominate someone for the award of Zoom Excellence, who would it be?
First person comes to mind might be one of my boys, Tafadzo Howe. Taf Hove I agree, he's one of my first friends when I grew up in Zim. And I mean, it was recently announced that he's going to be working with Disney on some animation projects.
I saw that. And then I followed him on Instagram and I want to connect with him.
Man. Hovey Hove, that's my guy, man. So yeah, he'd be someone I'd put up for sure.
Tafadzo Howe, you have officially been nominated for the award of Zim Excellence by Munyaradzi Chanetsa.
Tell him.
Okay. If you could nominate someone to come on the show, who would it be? Would it be Tafadzo?
Yeah, I would now say Tafadzo as well. That makes sense.
Sweet. Now he has to come on the show. He's been nominated. That's how it works. It's a trap.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Munyaradzi, it has absolutely been a party like I knew it would be. We're the same person. We are tribe. We in the same WhatsApp group. All of the things.
Tell them.
So as we wrap up the show, I would love it if you could share a message with our listeners, as well as letting them know where they can follow your journey, whether it's a website, Instagram, or Twitter. And by the way, you don't have to spell it out. I will put it in the show notes.
Okay.
Save you some spelling time.
Thank you. We're gonna go back to M.O.T.I, Masters of the Industry. It is a call to action for that set of people who do want to understand the business side of the industry. Creatives, you're most welcome to come through just so that you understand. So you understand your expectations of who should be doing what. You understand the basics as well. But really, it's a call out to just a new breed of people who want to proudly understand and be called themselves masters of the industry and know better, so that as a whole, we all just do better. Our creatives, we need to protect our creators with everything. And that's what's really important. So yeah, that's my message. When we know better, we do better. Shout out to M.O.T.Is. Please register on the website, www.motiafrica.com. You can just input your email and I'll be sure to keep you guys updated as to when we're launching and when everything is going to be happening. But yeah, and on socials, personally, Munya Chanetsa is just Munya Chanetsa. That's my social across the board. I'm most active on Instagram. Although, I mean, I have got Twitter, and my Twitter is at Illumuniati. Yeah, that's at ILLU_Munya_TI. So,
I mean, thanks for spelling, but it's going to be in the show notes.
I know. Sorry, my bad. You didn't say it. My bad. Yeah, and please do follow all M.O.T.I Africa channels across the board. It's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and it's just M.O.T.I Africa across the board. And yeah, and my personal journey, Munya Chanetsa. You got me.
It's been dope.org. Since we only record audio for this podcast, it's important that I let y'all know that Munya is wearing his own merch. He's wearing a t-shirt that says "Know Better, Do Better," KBDB-M.O.T.I, and he's also wearing the M.O.T.I. What is this, like hoodie?
It's a jacket. No, it's just a little jacket, you know.
Yeah, and so I cannot wait for the merch to go online. I'm trying to cop the hat, maybe some socks. You never know. maybe there'll be like some little like M.O.T.I earbuds for the people.
Amen. We speak from your lips to God's ears. Amen. Yes. And amen. Yes.
I'm trying to get the water bottle. So yeah, the dude is decked out. And he also has a theme song, the M.O.T.I theme song. The link is going to be in the show notes. It is hella dope. It is a vibe. It's going to get you going, get you motivated and inspired. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, all of the links. But like I said, I'm putting all the resources mentioned in this episode in the show notes. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, my brother, Munyaradzi Chanetsa.
Thank you, and thank you so much for the platform And for you for being you. It really is appreciated. We see what you're doing, and thank you for recognizing fellow Zimbabweans, putting us on. Thank you. And I look forward to working soon.
You're so welcome. Bye, y'all. Thank y'all so much for coming to the party. Majita tatenda siyabonga. Nah, for real. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Zim Excellence. If you found value from this episode, please share it with a friend and go ahead and subscribe, rate, and review. If you send me a screenshot of your review, I'll make sure to give you a shout out on future episodes. Feel free to tag us on Instagram at Zim Excellence Podcast. And if you identify as Zimbabwean, I want to hear your story, so go ahead and email zimexcellencepodcast@gmail.com. Till then, have the best week and stay Zim Excellent.